So in this video, I'll be explaining the entirety of the Monster Association arc, so spoilers warning in advance. Anyways, let's begin. The Hero Association staff talk about all the recent incidents. Sitch says that Garou should officially be labeled a dragon-level threat. Some staff members suggest calling Blast, but Sitch explains that Blast only acts on his own and can't be summoned. Narinki complains angrily about the Hero Association, but Second Gar promises him they will save his son. Later, Second Gar meets with Super Alloy Darkshine, Pig God, Tatsumaki, and Drive Knight to prepare for the upcoming battle, while Child Emperor continues trying to locate the Monster Association's hideout. Several S-Class heroes and Sweet Mask return to headquarters after finishing their investigations. Child Emperor begs Bufoy to join the operation against the Monster Association, but Bufoy refuses again. Fubuki tries to get Saitama and the others to take the crisis more seriously, but everyone has some excuse to avoid helping her. Saitama decides to go look for Garou. Narinki sends his private squad to rescue his son from the Monster Association. Garou wakes up inside the Monster Association base. Narinki's private squad has already been captured by G5 and are being judged by Giro. Super S then turns them into her love slaves. After that, Orochi orders Garou to bring back the head of any hero within 1 day to prove he's a real monster. Giro sends Bug God and Royal Ripper to watch Garou as he carries out the mission. A new group that supports monsters tries to kidnap a civilian for disagreeing with them, but they run into Garou. He knocks them out with a flick of his finger and then heads to a restaurant. Saitama happens to be eating there too, but he can't pay because he lost his wallet. Fubuki arrives and starts talking about the hero hunter while also trying again to recruit Saitama to her faction. Saitama tricks Fubuki into eating the fries just as Garou runs out, causing people to yell that someone skipped the bill. Saitama uses the chance to chase after the Dinen Dasher and dumps the bill on Fubuki. Later, Garou scares some boys who are bullying Terio. Soon after, Saitama catches up to Garou and lets him go with a warning. This makes Garou furious, thinking heroes now feel sorry for him. He decides to complete his mission by bringing back Saitama's head, but Saitama accidentally punches him and knocks him out. Garou eventually wakes up and asks Terio who that hero was. Right then, Bug God and Royal Ripper appear. Royal Ripper steps toward Terio and Garou tells him to back off. Garou takes a fighting stance in front of Terio as the two monsters close in. Royal Ripper explains that Giro sent them to follow and watch Garou. After seeing his actions, they now doubt whether Garou is truly a monster. Garou taunts Royal Ripper, but it doesn't work. Royal Ripper then tells Garou to kill Terio. Garou tells Terio to go home, but the boy is too scared. He scolds him and yanks the Hero Association guidebook from his hands, saying he needs to toughen up during dangerous times. While this happens, Royal Ripper attacks Terio. Garou blocks instantly, grabs Royal Ripper by his blades, lifts him in the air, and kicks him hard in the stomach. Royal Ripper flies upward but quickly recovers by stabbing his blades into the ground and doing a somersault to land. The move badly twists his arms, but he simply rotates them back into place. Garou screams for Terio to run, and the boy finally does. As he runs, Royal Ripper declares Garou an enemy. Garou takes a stance as both monsters rush towards him. Inside the Monster Association base, Giro is meditating on a beanbag when Phoenix Man walks in. Phoenix Man asks Giro why he sent two violent monsters to watch Garou. Giro says they might help teach Garou how to kill heroes. Phoenix Man argues that the two are too wild to follow orders and will kill Garou if they get the chance, especially Royal Ripper, whom even other monsters avoid. Giro replies that Garou needs to be pushed, physically and mentally, to reach his full potential, then starts explaining where Orochi came from. Giro reveals that Orochi was once a human being, and that he himself created the Monster King through countless failures and sacrifices. He says Garou could become the next Orochi if given the same treatment. On a rooftop, Zombie Man watches a takoyaki shop, suspecting it's a new base for the House of Evolution. He goes inside and meets Armored Gorilla, who just assumes Zombie Man is a customer. Zombie Man introduces himself, but is surprised when Armored Gorilla says the House of Evolution is no longer around. Zombie Man then meets Dr. Genus, who says he remembers Zombie Man fondly as the successful immortal specimen who escaped and destroyed the facility. Zombie Man threatens Genus with a large axe and asks why he shut down the House of Evolution, saying he could always rebuild it as long as he's alive. Genus explains his encounter with Saitama, who he believes removed his limiter and became stronger than anything man-made. He explains that all living things have a limiter that caps how much they can grow, because too much power could turn them into mindless rampaging monsters. So God gave everyone a limiter to protect their minds and keep them safe. Zombie Man asks if the person who removed his limiter paid any price. Gina says the cost was losing his hair and feeling completely disconnected from society. Zombie Man replies that people who gain great power without becoming monsters are called heroes. Genos explains that humans turn into monsters because of internal factors, bad habits, mental problems, or frustration, as well as external factors like pollution or chemicals. This is different from someone who removes their limiter. Some monsters, like the Sea Folk in J-City or the Dark Matter Thieves, are simply sentient creatures hostile towards humans. As for heroes, Genos says they're born with potential and develop it through hard work, or they gain power through technology, experiments, or natural gifts. But Saitama is unique. He was normal with no special talent, but managed to break his limiter through sheer will and effort. That's why Genos gave up his previous ambitions, saying they now seem ridiculous. As Royal Ripper and Bug God rush in, Garou punches Bug God in the stomach, but it injures his own hand. Royal Ripper unleashes a wild combo of slashes at Garou, but Garou dodges them or deflects them all. While Garou focuses on Royal Ripper's attacks, Bug God charges from behind and quickly smashes Garou into the ground, then tosses him onto electric wires that shock him for a moment. Garou immediately launches himself back at the two monsters as they jump towards him. The three end up in a stalemate. Garou becomes more confident, saying he can beat them now, while the two monsters say they'll fight at full power. Garou doesn't get scared, even claiming he's already seen all their moves and won't get hit again. But then it turns out that Terrio has been captured by sludge jellyfish. While Garou is distracted, Royal Ripper and Bug God brutalize him, leaving him lying in a pool of blood. Bug God stops the beating, saying Garou should stay alive. Royal Ripper stops too, but says it might be already too late for Garou. He then invites Terrio to come home with him, smiling creepily and saying they'll be great friends. Back at Saitama's apartment, Genos, King, Bang, and Bomb wait nervously for Saitama to return. When he finally shows up looking messy, they assume he fought Garou. Saitama denies it, unaware that he actually did meet Garou and defeated him for the third time. Fubuki also arrives and Genos detects something coming fast, so he sends King to handle it. The monster turns out to be Dr. Kusano, who arrives in a mechanical suit to check on Genos. Dr. Kusano introduces himself to Saitama and brings high-quality meat for Hot Pot. Saitama tells Genos to start cooking, then realizes he now has to share the food with all the guests. Meanwhile, in the Monster Association, Royal Ripper and Bug God try to explain Garou's death by blaming both Garou and Giro. Giro knows they're lying, but decides not to punish them. Instead, he tells them to get serious because the Hero Association might attack in just a few hours. Giro also captured Child Emperor's scouting robot. Dig here, woof woof number 3. Many monsters are shown preparing, chatting, or just hanging around as they wait for the big fight. Terrio is thrown into a cell with Waganma, the hostage. Waganma confidently says that since he's rich, the heroes will save him, and he rudely tries to make Terrio act like a servant. Meanwhile, Garou wakes up in the place he was left and starts moving again. At the Hero Association HQ, Child Emperor and Second Gar review the roster of heroes. Child Emperor becomes paranoid and uses his influence to remove Demon Cyborg and Silverfang. Even though Sitch's protests, he is ordered not to inform them. At Saitama's apartment, the 7 people there get ready to eat the steaming hot pot. They all rush in with their chopsticks at once, food flying everywhere. King is knocked out immediately, but nobody notices. Fubuki uses telekinesis to bring a piece of meat towards her, but Genos tries to take it back for Saitama. Saitama asks why everyone is eating my food. During the argument, Dr. Kusano calms Genos down, but then Fubuki tries to recruit the scientist for weapon development. Saitama gets frustrated that the meat is already gone, and then discovers King sleeping. The Hero Association prepares to deploy the S-Class heroes, without Watchdog Man, Blast, or Metal King. They also don't know where Genos or Bang are. Every available hero from C-Class to A-Class is sent to deal with the Monster Association's forces, while the S-Class heroes handle the Dragon-level monsters. Garou breaks into the facility just in time to save Terrio from Royal Ripper. Even though Royal Ripper stabs Garou in the stomach, Garou kills him with one punch, smashing his head off, then uses the Whirlwind Iron-Cutting Fist to slice the monster's body apart. Garou and Terrio try to escape, but run into 2 more monsters who are quickly defeated by Garou. The Hero Hunter eats one of the monster's limbs to recover some strength before continuing with Terrio. As they run, Terrio says that another kid still needs saving, but Garou says that's not his problem and that he didn't come here to save Terrio either. Before they can move on, they're confronted by Overgrown Rover. Garou and Terrio slowly back away to avoid being noticed. As they turn a corner, Super Mouse suddenly attacks. Garou pulls Terrio out of the way, saving him, and Unicorn and Showerhead follow up by lunging at Garou and splashing him with hot water. Garou takes on 3 monsters at once. He kicks Unicorn into a wall, cracks Showerhead's faucet, and cuts Super Mouse's arm. Everyone, even Terrio, sees how fast Garou is growing stronger. The monsters claim their powers are certified by Giro, but Garou says he should already be dragon level. They rush him with a combined attack, yet he blocks it easily and laughs. The blast flies down the hall and hits overgrown Rover. Rover appears, kills Unicorn instantly, then fires a huge energy blast. Garou grabs Terrio and escapes as the ground above Z-City shakes from the impact. Garou breaks out of the hallway with Terrio and escapes the disruption, but Rover chases them. Garou throws Terrio aside, saying they have to split up, but Terrio objects. Rover charges another blast, but Garou rushes under him and attacks his leg. It does nothing. Rover fires point blank, blowing through several floors. When the dust clears, Garou is still standing, clothes shredded. Rover keeps firing. Garou leaps away and hides on a ledge. He drops down, yells for Rover to sit, and punches him into the floor, yet Rover rises without a scratch. Rover grabs Garou, slams him down, and blasts him again, sending him crashing even deeper. Buried under rubble, Garou lands right in front of Goro. The monster boss lifts the debris, freezes Garou in place, and praises him, saying he's grown strong exactly as expected.
Saitama puts on his hero suit and heads out into the damaged streets.
Garou is trapped by Goro's psychic power. Goro says Garou's monster form is still incomplete and wants to evolve him through a brutal process, forcing humans to face death again and again so their bodies and minds break and rebuild. Many die and survivors lose intelligence, but their power skyrockets. Garou realizes Goro has experimented like this before, and Goro admits it. Only one success ever reached dragon level, the Monster King, Orochi. Goro believes Garou has even greater potential and tries to recruit him. Garou refuses. Goro threatens him, bragging his psychic strength is far above Tatsumaki or Fubuki. But as Garou slowly steps forward through the pressure, rocks strike him, revealing Goro can only focus on one move at a time. Garou breaks free and threatens to kill him. Then Orochi appears, grabbing Garou and stabbing a hole clean through him. Garou keeps fighting with water stream rock-smashing fist, dodging Orochi's snapping jaws and killing smaller monsters. Orochi transforms into a giant serpent monster, breathing fire and smashing Garou with huge limbs. Goro tells him to give up, but Garou calls himself a combat genius. Orochi copies his fighting style instantly, and all his dragon heads attack using the same technique. Overwhelmed, Garou finally falls, defeated by Orochi. Meanwhile, Saitama is looking down into a manhole, sure he heard something inside. The S-Class heroes are meeting to discuss the Monster Association and plan their attack. Suddenly, Sweet Masks bursts into the room and demands that he be the one to lead the S-Class. This immediately irritates Tatsumaki, Flashy Flash, and Zombie Man. Before things escalate, King walks in, and everyone calms down out of respect for him. Sweet Mask leaves but states he will be part of the underground strike force. Sakingar and Sitch talk about the current situation. Sitch is surprised that Sakingar is personally going to the battlefield. He assumes Sakingar only cared about fame. Sakingar admits that he's motivated by fame and believes he'll be remembered in history for taking down such a huge threat. They head down to greet the heroes arriving by helicopter, totaling 15 heroes. Staff informs Sitch that Silverfang has arrived. After Sitch leaves, Bomb tells Bang that they suspect him. King enters the same room as Bang and Bomb to hide. Bang asks King about the rescue operation, learns the details, and decides they should meet at Saitama's apartment so they can sneak into the base using the same path King used. King goes back to the group of waiting heroes and they depart. Meanwhile, Fubuki heads towards Saitama's apartment, thinking about her situation. She runs into Genos, who is reviewing information on his upgraded body. They both go inside the apartment but find that Saitama is gone. Soon after, Bang, Bomb, and King arrive. They decide that Genos should stay behind to wait for Saitama while the rest proceed to join the raid. Meanwhile, Saitama is still exploring the tunnel beneath the manhole. The strike team arrives in Z-City's ghost town. Suddenly, Evil Eye leads over 150 monsters to surround them. Tatsumaki puts up a barrier as buildings are lifted and dropped, while Puri Prisoner and Darkshine protect the others from the debris. Tatsumaki tells the team if they can't handle this, they're just dead weight. Evil Eye threatens to take Tatsumaki and Fubuki's eyes, making Tatsumaki unleash a raging whirlwind. The heroes jump into battle, showing off their skills: sharpshooting, plant control, acrobatics, poison strikes, and more, while Rhino Wrestler charges in as a new demon-level foe. Atomic Samurai cuts down Rhino Wrestler in an instant and keeps slicing through monsters alongside Flashy Flash. Darkshine bulldozes through enemies, Piggot swallows one, Puri Prisoner smashes another, and Tatsumaki drops Evil Eye's remains at her feet. Child Emperor destroys Goro's spy drone, but Goro says he's already seen enough. Deep inside the base, he gathers elite monsters. He orders the monsters to move out and crush the heroes. The S-Class heroes head down separate paths, with Atomic Samurai's disciples following him. Flashy Flash reviews information on his transmitter until he's suddenly confronted by Galewind and Hellfire Flame. They compliment his speed while he tries to figure out who hired them to target him. Galewind guesses an organ trading king hired them, but Flashy Flash says he already killed him, along with a drug lord, a heart collector, a phantom thief, a pirate captain, and the heads of the coalition of assassins. Galewind then admits their true goal, world domination, and Flashy Flash's ninja village is the only real obstacle.
Flashy Flash wounds him and demands they show their monster forms. They transform, claiming they're dragon-level threats. Their speed rises and they push Flashy Flash hard. Hellfire Flame unleashes blazing attacks, but Flashy Flash cuts his sword apart. They decide to drop ninja tactics and use pure power instead, landing a hit that makes Flashy Flash spit blood. Flashy Flash finally gets serious, unleashing rapid kicks and finishing both monsters with Flashy Slash, slicing them clean in two. He moves on, but at the next junction, realizes he lost his locator during the fight. Child Emperor advances through the base, tracking the strike team. His mini Octo-Tank blocks an ambush, and he discovers the wreckage of Metal Knight's drone. Inside, he finds a full map of the hideout with Wagama's location. Furious, Metal Knight kept it secret. Phoenix Man suddenly destroys the Octo-Tank. He introduces himself, but Child Emperor's invisible shield and gadgets blow him apart. Child Emperor gasses the guards and rescues Wagama with a frog mask. Then Sludge Jellyfish attacks, but Child Emperor cuts it, covers it in fuel, and ignites it. Ahead, his scout tank is instantly crushed by Machine God G5. High-voltage traps, jamming waves, and disabling devices all fail. G5 nearly wins until Underdog Man fuses into Mad Dog Underdog Cerberus to stall him. Child Emperor fires sticky birdlime missiles and escapes with Wagama. They pass Phoenix Man's corpse, and he revives, stronger. Child Emperor deploys layered shields, but Phoenix Man smashes him with beak attack. Frustrated and scared, Child Emperor calls in his strongest weapon, the Brave Giant Mech. The fight escalates fast. Missiles versus Phoenix Flare, the Delta Scale Saber versus Phoenix Fire Falcon mode. He attacks pounding Brave Giant's armor. Child Emperor releases Little Braves for an all-ranged attack, but Phoenix Man evolves again into Phoenix Prominence Hawk and absorbs it. When Phoenix Homing Wing targets Wagama, Child Emperor blocks it, firing machine guns and pushing past the suit's time limit. He traps Phoenix Man in an electromagnetic cage and launches a massive booster-powered punch, sending all three crashing through multiple floors. They land in a flooded chamber, where they meet Saitama. Phoenix Man resurrects yet again, reanimating the subterranean people and even Gale Wind and Hellfire Flame. Child Emperor fights desperately while Saitama casually destroys the undead. With time running out, Child Emperor self-destructs Brave Giant. Phoenix Man survives until a secret tickle robot in his suit forces him into a tiny chick form. Gale Wind and Hellfire Flame attack, but Saitama defeats him instantly. Child Emperor asks if Wagama knows of other hostages, but he hides the truth about Tereo. With Underdog Man helping, they flee the Monster Association as Saitama wipes out every monster chasing them. Zombie Man pushes through the Monster Association base, killing every monster in his way. He's led to Pureblood the Vampire, and despite being ripped apart multiple times, he regenerates and wins. After locking the room and wiping out the spectators, he heals up with a smoke and continues his route. Child Emperor reports Wagama is safe and warns everyone not to go too deep. Zombie Man moves forward fully recovered. Pig God battles the Great Food Tub nearby. Ian, Bushidrill, and Okamaichi deal with the controlled Nairinki squad and Dues. Until Sweet Mask arrives, takes the whip from her, and tells the disciples to go. Alone, he defeats the entire squad and, immune to her powers, executes Dues. Then the Nairinki squad regains consciousness and unites with the disciples and drop into a lower level and encounter Devil Longhair. He attacks with living hair from underground, forcing them to fight together using Atomic Samurai's lessons. Ian, Okamaichi, and Bushidrill are shown exhausted after defeating Devil Longhair. Having cut through all of the monster's hair, Devil Longhair collapses and says his hair was his weak point. The disciples are shocked they actually won and say they never could have done it alone. They worry there might be more monsters like him. Atomic Samurai slice it through several monsters, when Sword Devil Executioner complements his skills. Shocked the monster survived the strike, Atomic Samurai cuts him down instantly. He then challenges any remaining monsters. G5 raises a mechanical arm, claiming he's analyzed all his moves. A high-speed sword fight begins. Atomic Samurai marvels at modern mechanical toys, provoking G5 to accelerate. G5 bets he can beat Atomic in 23 moves, but fails, sliced into hundreds of pieces. Atomic Samurai spares G5's core, too tough to destroy. A laser fires from the smoke, but Atomic deflects it and sends an air blade slicing through, only to realize a real opponent escaped. He leaves a threat to the surface team. Tereo is running from Black Sperm when a slash from Atomic Samurai forces the monster to dodge. The scene shifts to Child Emperor and Wagama nearing an exit. Wagama asks Child Emperor to escort him all the way to his father, but Child Emperor says the surface team will do that. He wants to head back into the battles below. Using his communicator, Child Emperor checks in with the heroes, reporting the hostage mission is complete. At first, no one answers. Sekingar tells him to be patient, they're likely in battle. Zombie Man responds praising the rescue. Sweet Mask affirms he'll keep delivering justice. Pig God compliments Child Emperor while eating, and Atomic Samurai finally replies, admitting he doesn't know the communicator and mentions finding a mysterious kid, then the signal cuts out. Child Emperor turns to Wagama, who cries and apologizes, saying he only wanted to be rescued. Child Emperor picks up his backpack and leaves Wagama with the surface team, refusing help despite exhaustion to stick to his mission. Needlestar watches in awe, realizing the huge gap between S-class heroes and the others. Black Sperm grows angry at Atomic Samurai, forming a massive arm which Atomic Samurai instantly cuts off. A second Black Sperm emerges, revealing he's made of countless merged individuals that keep multiplying. Atomic Samurai slices through them, but the clones overwhelm him, proving their strength doesn't weaken when split. Atomic Samurai barely counters as more clones spawn, mocking him. Injured and out of options, he collapses a ceiling on them to survive. The HQ shakes from Atomic Samurai's collapsing ceiling, catching Zombie Man's attention. Suddenly, Homeless Emperor blasts him point blank. Zombie Man regenerates, attacks with an axe, and gets shot in the head but keeps coming back. Using a hidden pistol, he fires at Homeless Emperor, who counters with energy orbs, but Zombie Man survives, charred but standing. Trying to buy time, Zombie Man asks what Homeless Emperor is. The villain explains his past: a homeless loner who lost his job, was humiliated by society, and realized humanity's disregard for nature.
An entity he calls God granted him divine powers to punish humans and protect Earth. Zombie Man doubts the story, joking about the idea of this god, but Homeless Emperor warns that this belief earns death. Meanwhile, Saitama senses the destruction and worries about his apartment's foundation. Meanwhile, Puri Prisoner battles a group of monsters who think they've blown him up until he walks out of the smoke unharmed. He says his angel hug lets him endure any pain through love. When the monsters try to escape, Bakuma appears, absorbs them, and attacks with multiple borrowed powers. Puri Prisoner charges in and smashes Bakuma to pieces. He then hears inmates crying out and believe they were forced to serve the monsters, promising to save them, ignoring that they actually hate him. Nyan appears, slashes him, and says humans who turn into monsters can't go back. Puri Prisoner insists anyone with a human heart is still human. Disturbed, Nyan slips away through a crack. Puri Prisoner chases with his new Angel Crawl move, but causes debris to collapse and kill almost all the inmates. Shedding his hair armor, he calls their deaths a sacrifice and swears to avenge them, continuing the pursuit of Nyan. Meanwhile, another monster watches in horror as Pig God eats his monster friends after they mistakenly thought Pig God would be good food for them. Pig God grabs the hiding monster and stuffs him into his mouth as it screams. Suddenly, Gums sneaks up behind Pig God and swallows him whole. Pig God struggles inside until Gums is forced to spin him back out. The two monsters then start fighting. Super Alloy Darkshine encounters Bug God. Bug God talks big and transforms with extra arms and wings, but Darkshine crushes him in one punch, reminding him he's one of the three heroes you should never provoke. The scene shifts to another monster limping away from Atomic Samurai's disciples. After being wounded, he mentions releasing something. Iain, Bushido, and Okomaitashi walk down a hallway when Bushido senses a dangerous aura coming from a nearby room, and asks if the others feel it too. When they enter, they see a water tank full of fish. The monster tells them that even Gyoro had trouble controlling the thing in the tank, and adds that it's a cadre. He then recklessly shoves the tank over, releasing Evil Water Monster. The fish inside immediately tear the monster apart. The three swordsmen stare in shock. The fishes attack them, who quickly cuts them down. Iain notes that the fish aren't a problem, but the situation is hopeless because they have no way to cut Evil Water Monster. The fight between the Evil Water Monster and the three heroes raged on, with attack after attack failing to harm the creature. Amid the chaos, Tonagara, a member of the Narinki squad, is pierced by the monster's high-pressure water jets while saving Bushido from a critical hit. Gravely injured, he urges the heroes to escape, knowing his time has come. As they flee, Tonagara reflects on his life as a mercenary, remembering the horrors he'd seen and once believed the world had no place for heroes or saviors, but he was wrong. The monster closes in, and Tonagara is devoured by the fishes, sacrificing himself to save the others. Meanwhile, Saitama wanders through the base and runs into overgrown Rover. Saitama punches the Rover so hard that it shakes the entire structure. Nyan tries to ambush Saitama with super feline retribution, but it does nothing, and Nyan panics and flees underground. Gyoro thinks about the power of Saitama's punch before Tatsumaki arrives. Gyoro traps Tatsumaki inside a sphere of rocks and crushes it tightly, but Tatsumaki breaks free without effort. She sends a rock straight through Gyoro's barrier, blowing off one of its arms. The monster then shows its true form covered in many eyes. Gyoro unleashes a super gravitational wavegun that increases gravity in the area by 300 times. Tatsumaki isn't impressed and destroys Gyoro's body completely. Meanwhile, Saitama wanders the Monster Association base when Orochi confronts him unleashing his dragons. Saitama effortlessly destroys them and notices Rover cowering, realizing it was Saitama who defeated all the powerful monsters recently.
Orochi reveals his face and leads Saitama deep into the association to ancient ruins with a mural. He explains that under Gyoro-Gyoro's guidance, he underwent experiments and fought mighty monsters, growing immensely powerful. When Gyoro-Gyoro's methods no longer challenged him, he followed his instincts and discovered the ruins and the mural. The mural depicts a figure resembling him, with ancient text demanding a sacrifice placed in a bowl. Orochi's goal becomes clear: find someone powerful enough to be his sacrifice and ascend to godhood. Seeing Saitama bathing in lava, Orochi draws energy from the Earth's core, triggering volcanic eruptions and disasters, and launches a massive attack. Saitama counters effortlessly with a simple water blast, overpowering Orochi and blasting off his shoulder, then delivers a single punch that shatters him. As the ruins collapse, the mural wall breaks, revealing an even larger, more powerful figure. King wanders the Monster Association base, terrified and searching for Saitama. He encounters a boy who looks like Waganma, but it's actually a shape-shifting monster trying to lure him in. The fake Waganma asks for a hug so it can stab King up close. Shaking with fear, King admits he can't protect the child and tells him to find a real hero instead. The monster completely misreads King's panic and heartbeat as a deadly threat. Overwhelmed by the supposed killing intent, it convulses, accidentally impaling itself with its own bone and dying instantly. King, clueless about what just happened, wipes his sweat and continues on, still terrified and desperate to find Saitama. Bang, Bomb, and Fubuki are confronted by Super S, who declares she plans to defeat Sweet Mask after them. Before she can act, Bang effortlessly defeats everyone around him. Noticing some monsters reverting to human forms, he realizes he has a chance to save Garou. Super S tricks them, claiming Garou is in a room with overgrown Rover. Rover fires a massive energy blast, which Fubuki blocks with her powers. Using the moment to escape, Super S is caught by Fubuki's telekinesis and sent deep into the Monster Association's depths. Meanwhile, Sweet Mask thinks to himself that based on Atomic Samurai's message, there is another kidnapped child. He realizes the battle is going to take longer than expected and that his future plans will have to be cancelled or postponed. While holding a living monster head, Sweet Mask inspects the machines used to grow Orochi's monster cells and smashes them, ignoring the head's warning that killing Orochi is impossible. Casually, he notices a mirror and begins posing, until Fura Ugly suddenly appears. Startled by the cadre's grotesque appearance, Sweet Mask panics, shattering the mirror and retreating to a corner. He attempts to fight, but the sheer ugliness of Fura Ugly freezes him completely. Sweet Mask realizes that no matter his confidence or skill, he can't overcome the dragon-level cadre's terrifying presence, leaving him vulnerable and at a total disadvantage. Booty Booty Prisoner continues searching for Nyan by swimming through the walls of the Monster Association base. He ends up in a small room filled with torture equipment and finds Garou chained to the wall, unconscious. Not realizing this is the famous hero hunter, he thinks Garou is just another hostage, and starts to free him. But when he recognizes Garou's face, Garou wakes up, breaks the chains, and beats him up instantly. The S-Class hero quickly understands the huge mistake he made by waking up this mysterious prisoner. Saitama wanders the base, killing a monster with one punch. Flashy Flash mistakes him for a monster and attacks, but Saitama dodges effortlessly and grabs his sword. Flashy explains they're in the Monster Association's territory and warns about Orochi, exciting Saitama. Flashy tries to escape at high speed, but Saitama easily keeps up. As they run, Saitama notices the same hallways and monster corpses repeating, asking if Flashy is lost, who ignores him in annoyance.
Outside, A and B class heroes finish off waves of monsters and seal every exit to protect Waganma, until Nyan arrives, catching One-Shotter's bullet and flicking it back into his head. Nyan instantly blitzes the group, injuring several heroes and revealing he's a Monster Association cadre. Despite their teamwork, Nyan breaks their weapons, cuts them down, and goes after Waganma and food battler Futoshi. Gearspur loses his last strength to hurl entire buildings as psychic projectiles, burying Nyan, but the monster escapes, slashes Futoshi, and drags Waganma away, terrifying the boy into wetting himself. Just as Nyan moves in for the kill, Drive Knight arrives, freeing them from a long-range strike. Drive Knight cycles through multiple tactical forms: Chariot, Knight, Flying Chariot, Bishop, Gold, and Silver, forcing Nyan out of cracks, burning him, and finally impaling him and incinerating his body. Sekingar is shocked by the overwhelming victory, but Drive Knight warns him that Bofoi, Metal Knight, is a traitor. Before Sekingar can call it in, G5 appears and shoots him, only for Genos to drop in from above and destroy the robot. Genos escorts Waganma and the survivors to safety, while Sekingar contacts HQ. Drive Knight takes Nyan's remains for experimentation. Genos learns Saitama is inside fighting and rejects all further orders. Leaving Waganma with the support heroes, Genos heads back into the base, determined to join the battle in the Monster Association stronghold.
Meanwhile, Super Alloy Darkshine finds Puri Puri Prisoner knocked out on the ground. Puri Puri Prisoner warns him about Garou, who appears at the end of the hallway. Darkshine and Garou prepare to fight. Child Emperor discovers Atomic Samurai's disciples defeated by Evil Water Monster. He dodges the creature's attacks and assembles his snowman robot. Evil Water Monster fires water jets at him, but Child Emperor uses the robot's flash-freezing breath to freeze the attacks mid-air. Child Emperor continues battling Evil Water Monster. Sludge Jellyfish enters the room and tries to help Evil Water Monster, but the monster absorbs his oil instead. This makes Child Emperor's freezing attack useless because oil doesn't freeze easily. The hero is shocked that such a mindless monster can adapt so quickly. The scene shifts to Genos rushing toward the Monster Association headquarters, studying the data Drive Knight gave to Kingar. He notes that all the cadres are dangerous enemies and that there's no time to come up with proper strategies, although Saitama might have already taken some of them out. Somewhere else in the base, Flashy Flash and Saitama run in circles, both totally lost. Saitama suggests contacting the other heroes, but Flashy Flash says the other S-Class heroes are dependable. All of the S-Class heroes are overwhelmed and close to death because of Gyoro Gyoro's planned matchups. Tatsunaki finds Gyoro Gyoro's real body and starts pulling her out, while Gyoro Gyoro alters which executive is free to rescue her. She thinks of Overgrown Rover, but the dog is actually fighting Bang, Bomb, and Fubuki. The three work together to fight Rover. Fubuki shields Bang and Bomb from one of Rover's blasts and boosts their bodies with her psychic abilities. Bang and Bomb finish their combo attack on Overgrown Rover, while Fubuki watches in awe. She's especially impressed with Bomb, who she used to think was just an ordinary old man. She even tries to recruit him into her group, but Rover suddenly gets back up, totally unharmed and full of energy after taking their attack. Frustrated, Bang tells Rover to sit and behave. Surprisingly, the monster listens and they quickly move past him. Meanwhile, Flashy Flash and Saitama ride in a minecart toward the Monster King's lair, guided by a monster who plans to drop them to their deaths at a rail switch. But when he sees how deep the drop is, he gets scared and can't go through with it. Saitama, Flashy Flash, and the toilet monster roll through an excavation area in the Monster Association HQ. Minor monsters attack them, but Saitama and Flashy Flash kill them instantly. Saitama tries to grab some gold, but drops it while saving their tour guide. Psychos drinks a mysterious elixir to fight Tatsunaki, and after letting out a loud scream, claims she's now far stronger than Gyoro Gyoro. Garou battles Super Alloy Darkshine but gets overpowered and knocked away. He regains consciousness from his fight with Monster King Orochi after being punched and challenges Darkshine's and the entire Hero Association's view of justice. Darkshine hits Garou with a massive tackle that breaks through Garou's guard and sends him flying through several layers of the base. Garou's ribs are shattered, but he recovers quickly. He uses Water Stream Rock's Mishing Fist and Whirlwind Iron Cutting Fist to launch a fierce assault that finally makes the seemingly invincible hero consider that he might lose. Darkshine then unleashes his strongest attack, Super Alloy, Bazooka, but Garou counters with a punch of his own. The narrator says Garou's limiter appears to be breaking. Meanwhile, Saitama worries about the damage to his cape, while Flashy Flash lectures him about his fighting skills. Psychos and Tatsunaki continue fighting. Tatsunaki traps Psychos with Psychic power and pulls her upward. Psychos grabs Tatsunaki in return and drags her downward, and they rocket straight at each other. Psychos smashes through the floor where Saitama, Flashy Flash, and the minecart monster are traveling, and collides with Tatsunaki. Tatsunaki then asks Psychos where the other missing kid is. Elsewhere in the Monster Association base, Tareo finds King and runs to him happily. King shouts at him to stop, thinking the boy is another monster disguised as a human, and accuses him of it. An invisible monster behind Tareo suddenly appears and runs away, convinced King saw him even though King had no idea he was there. King takes Tareo's hand and they continue walking. The Monster Association is in chaos. A slime-like monster, revealed to be part of Orochi, is absorbing other monsters to revive itself. Meanwhile, Tatsunaki and Psychos clash in a massive psychic battle. Psychos attacks with a Psychic Eye Blast, which Tatsunaki blocks, destroying nearby monsters. As the fight escalates, Tatsunaki demands answers, but Psychos escapes her control and merges with Orochi, gaining immense power. The fusion starts attacking Tatsunaki, distorting her barrier and increasing gravity, causing her great strain and injury. Elsewhere, Flashy Flash, Bang, and Saitama struggle through the collapsing headquarters, avoiding monsters. Pig God and other heroes try to protect civilians while King secures a child, allowing Tatsunaki to fight at full power. Garou continues his relentless assault on Super Alloy Darkshine, exploiting his childhood trauma and driving him to fear, though Darkshine survives. Tatsunaki lifts the entire Monster Association headquarters from underground to the surface, creating protective barriers around the heroes. The damage is so massive it's visible from miles away, inspiring wounded heroes to rush into the battle. Fubuki's group and other heroes work to escape rubble, while the fuse cycles Orochi attacks with energy beams that send tsunamis across the planet. Tatsunaki intercepts some of the attacks with massive chunks of earth, but the fusion keeps regenerating and retaliating. Using clever tactics, Tatsunaki infiltrates the fusion from the inside, striking it from within, though the monster still fights. Just as the fusion prepares to finish Tatsunaki, Genos intercepts and charges his own lightning cannon at the fusion, saving her. Meanwhile, Saitama and Monako struggle to free Flashy Flash from rubble, a comically unnecessary effort given Flashy Flash's abilities. On the surface, Tatsunaki, now free from the fusion's grip, continues fighting, deflecting Cycles' attacks while rescuing fellow heroes. Genos defends her from powerful attacks, and then she confronts Cycles about her sister Fubuki, terrifying the merged monster. She twists the fusion with her psychic power. Blood drips from the twisted fusion as the battle rages. Atomic Samurai searches for his disciples, and Child Emperor tries to contact Zombie Man, though the signal is lost. Meanwhile, Saitama helps Monako free Flashy Flash from rubble while worrying if the city will be destroyed by all the chaos. King climbs stairs with Dareo, but collapsing buildings force him back down. Up above, Tatsunaki continues to twist her until she starts to spit blood. Fused Paiko's Orochi sees this as a chance and tries to escape by shapeshifting into something like a fighter jet. Tatsunaki uses a giant psychic barrier to trap them, then the fusion fires a laser and pierces through Tatsunaki, but it was a decoy, while Drive Knight joins the fight to assist her. Genos relates the situation to other S-Class heroes, urging anyone able to help before Tatsunaki reaches her limit. Pig God spits out safe civilians and informs them of the events. Tank Top Master arrives, impressively clearing rubble and rescuing trapped civilians. A helicopter's rescue attempts are blocked by a Tatsunaki's barrier. Tank Top Master throws a transmission tower through the air to reach the Monster Association headquarters and support the heroes. Sweet Mask is seemingly frustrated due to the fact that he cannot fight against ugliness. Then, Blast arrives saying it's alright now. Then the other heroes discover Darkshine sitting like a baby, disappointed and sad, saying Garou defeated him, and no one could win against this guy. Then Garou is shown underground, claiming he can reach the level of God now and starts eating all the monsters present there. Above, Darkshine claims that all he wanted was an easy victory. Sweet Mask arrives, severely kicks Darkshine, and along with Puri Puri Prisoner tries to motivate him. Then Darkshine gets up ready to fight. Then Tank Top Master arrives in style, and Child Emperor behind gets emotional, thinking he never thought he would witness all the heroes cooperate with each other. Then Fubuki, Bang, and Bomb arrive. Fubuki urges everyone to help her sister, saying she must be unconscious by now. Using the opportunity, the fusion tries to kill her and Drive Knight intercepts just in time. And Genos jogs her again, discovering that she's unconscious. Flashbacks reveal Tatsunaki's past in a research institute saved by Blast, which motivates her to fight with renewed determination. On the battlefield, Tatsunaki with Drive Knight traps Paikos in a tunnel, but the fusion monster escapes. Genos and Drive Knight combine forces to blast Paikos, but she redirects the energy back at them. Tank Top Monster intercepts Paikos' attack with boulders, giving the heroes time to regroup. Using clever teamwork, Atomic Samurai, Puri Puri Prisoner, and Super Alloy Darkshine attack Paikos with combined techniques, bringing her closer to defeat. Bang and Bomb join in with their Dragon Slayer fists, finally incapacitating the monster. Above, Tatsunaki prepares a final psychic strike against Orochi. Flashy Flash struggles under debris, while Saitama, Monako, and Flashy Flash notice a mysterious humanoid figure in a cosmic void-like space beyond the battlefield, surrounded by stars, hinting at godlike presence. They find themselves in a strange dimension where normal physics and light don't work. A voice appears offering them powers, and Blast suddenly shows up, revealing himself as the top-ranked hero. Flashy Flash tests Blast's strength, but Blast easily dodges and prepares to take the trio back to the surface through a wormhole. Meanwhile, the surface heroes regroup, strategize, and prepare to continue the fight against the remnants of the Monster Association, coordinating efforts to maximize their powers and protect civilians. Child Emperor, Zombie Man, and Sweet Mask are stuck in the rear during the fight against Paikos and Orochi. Child Emperor doubts his leadership while Sweet Mask refuses to trust Zombie Man. Homeless Emperor attacks, tearing apart Zombie Man to protect Child Emperor. Above, Tatsunaki destroys Orochi with an energy sphere, but the spirit continues drilling until it stops at a mysterious altar.
King and Tereo navigate a distorted space anomaly, where Wagama emerges safely thanks to Saitama and Child Emperor's earlier rescue. Second Gar appears to guide the heroes, instructing lower-ranked ones to protect the kids while keeping watch.
Back on the battlefield, the S-Class heroes regroup. Homeless Emperor continues attacking, forcing heroes to dodge his energy spheres. Sweet Mask is killed by Fuhrer Ugly, who then steps on Zombie Man and taunts Child Emperor. Then all the monsters launch coordinated attacks on heroes. Then Genos arrives, showing his core overheating, and warns everyone that he's going to blast. But Fubuki refuses to leave and decides to help, saying a leader needs a right attitude and successfully prevents the explosion, but she loses a lot of energy and starts to spit blood.
Tatsumaki uses a decoy to escape Homeless Emperor's attacks, returning to the battlefield despite severe injuries, and urges Fubuki to leave the battlefield and pushes her away, but Fubuki resists to the very end, saying she'll never let her go, and ever since they were kids, Tatsumaki kept her isolated, which frightened her and formed her own group to get stronger. But after wondering what true strength is, she has been able to see
what's in her heart, and now she is gathering strong allies and wants her to be a part of it, and she'll never feel alone. But Tatsumaki still traps Fubuki, saying she has gone stronger with a beautiful smile, and leaves with Fubuki asking her to wait with tears in her eyes. Genos, Bang, and Genos assist Tatsumaki, while Tank Top Master fights Gums and Fear Ugly. Fear Ugly beats Tank Top Master to pulp, and Bang just in time sneaks and saves him, and then cleverly redirects Fear Ugly's attacks to Gums, controlling the battlefield. Gums then eats away Fear Ugly, but Fear Ugly destroys Gums, forming a new toxic amalgamation. Atomic Samurai and Ian defend against Evil Water's monster's high-speed attacks. Ian notices that Evil Water Monster is growing stronger, likely absorbing underground water, and fears it could devour the ocean. The monster bombards him, destroying his sword, but Super Alloy Darkshine steps in, tanking the attacks and effortlessly punching the monster to pieces. Bang and Genos are escorting Tatsumaki and Tank Top Master to Fubuki when Black Ass suddenly appears with countless clones. The heroes struggle to defend themselves on the wounded, but Atomic Samurai and Darkshine arrive to help. Homeless Emperor watches from a distance, letting Black S fight the S-Class heroes, planning to intervene only when necessary. Genos manages to deliver Tank Top Master to Fubuki, who begins slowly healing him using her psychic powers in combination with Bomb's assistance. Meanwhile, Garou suddenly arrives, having fully transformed into a monstrous version of himself, and confronts Bomb. The two clash with incredible speed, with Bomb trying to protect Fubuki while keeping up with Garou's overwhelming power. Pig God helps Fubuki stabilize Tank Top Master while the Council of Sword Masters and other heroes battle Black S clones. Tatsumaki is caught by a clone, but Genos quickly frees her with an incineration attack.
Fear Ugly, now far more powerful and grotesque, arrives seeking revenge on Silverfang. He melts Darkshine's hands, Atomic Samurai, and Kamikaze's swords with his acid, killing Zenbai.
The other heroes are terrified of his new strength. Garou and Dom continue their brutal fight, with Bang arriving just in time to face his former disciple. Their clash is fierce, and Bang notes Garou's growth, realizing his former student has become truly formidable. Meanwhile, the combined might of the heroes continues against Fear Ugly. Kamikaze sacrifices himself to save Atomic Samurai and Ian, and gives his student, Atomic Samurai, a very prestigious sword, Nichiren, and gives him the mission to find Gaichiren, claiming once he has both, he'll gain unequaled strength as a sword saint. Meanwhile, Black S complains to Fear Ugly to stop killing his clones, with him killing them even more. This enrages him, and all the clones combine into one and becomes Golden S. As Gold is impervious to corrosion, Fear Ugly has no effect on him, and he defeats him very easily. Later, the Homeless Emperor comes and bombards Fear Ugly. Then Golden S goes to fight Darkshine and completely overpower him. Homeless Emperor carpet bombs the area with energy spheres, but the S-Class swordsmen skillfully deflect them. Genos and Tatsumaki dodge through the rubble. Child Emperor, trapped underground with limited oxygen, calls for help via his transmitter. Puri Puri Prisoner arrives to rescue him just in time, while Genos struggles, losing limbs to Black's clones but crawling to safety while carrying Tatsumaki. The scene escalates as the monsters regroup and grow stronger. Just when it seems overwhelming, King arrives with the King engine, signaling that the planet's strongest man is finally stepping into the battlefield, ready to turn the tide. Bang and Bomb continue their intense battle with Garou. Garou unveils the Exploding Heart Release First technique, surprising Bang and Bomb, since Bang had long sealed it away. It's revealed that Garou broke into Bang's dojo safe and learned the forbidden technique. Despite Garou's overwhelming skill, Bang recalls his past as a reckless fighter and channels his determination to overcome his former student while reaching out to him with the voice hidden within the fist. Bomb observes, noting that Bang is slowly reaching Garou's heart and that this may be a moment to teach his brother humility. Elsewhere, Homeless Emperor attacks Ian, Spring Mustachio, and Atomic Samurai with massive energy attacks. Atomic Samurai struggles to unsheath his Sunblade, a telepathic weapon, but finally attunes to it, unleashing a devastating counterattack that shreds Homeless Emperor's energy orbs. Golden S blocks part of the strike, but the Sunblade adapts mid-attack, slicing off half of Golden S's arm. Meanwhile, Evil Water Monster resurfaces, surprising Ian, who thought Darkshine had defeated it. King arrives, standing composed, yet secretly terrified of facing the multitude of monsters. Homeless Emperor attempts to attack, but King just tells him, "Watch your step," which Homeless Emperor interprets as a warning by him thinking he wouldn't be able to escape him on such unsure footing. Zombie Man surprises Homeless Emperor from behind, holding him down. Child Emperor sends messages to the remaining heroes' coordinated strategy to lure the monsters in front of King for his ultimate attack, the Hellfire Burst Wave Motion Cannon. Black S reveals he has 54 trillion clones, which begin merging into Platinum S, a new ultimate form. Evil Water Monster and Platinum S line up before King, with Child Emperor confirming that Genos and Tatsumaki are safe. Meanwhile, Bang continues battling Garou, managing to graze him and drawing blood, though Garou's shockwave attacks remain devastating and Bang is defeated. Then confrontation between Zombie Man and Homeless Emperor is shown, where during the confrontation, Homeless Emperor attempted to explain the origin of his powers, which were secretly granted to him by a divine entity known only as God. Before he could reveal further details, God himself arrived, standing in the moon, and manifested a mysterious realm, instantly stripping Homeless Emperor of his powers, causing his body to disintegrate and die, right before Zombie Man's eyes.
Then, King begins to uncross his arms, which makes everyone believe King is going to charge a powerful attack and starts to cheer him. Then right in that moment, Platinum Mass arrives claiming he always wanted to fight King one-on-one. Fear Ugly facing a defeated Bang, just in time Garou regains his senses, charges in and rips through the monster with a single kick. And even in less than a second, he defeats Platinum Mass and Evil Water Monster. All while King, unaware, witnesses the chaos and shock. Zombie Man, Flashy Flash, and Monaku are teleported to the surface by blast through a wormhole, joining the remaining heroes. Garou's presence becomes the focal point, as his incredible speed and strength turn the tide against the monsters. Meanwhile, Saitama rushes to Genos to check on his battered condition. Then Garou is confronted by Flashy Flash. They begin fighting only for Platinum S to intervene, disappointed that Garou still hasn't fully embraced his monster's powers. Garou pretends to agree with Platinum S, but then reveals his true strength with the Monster Calamity God Slayer Fist, a fighting style combining all the martial arts he has learned. With this, he overwhelms both Flashy Flash and Platinum S, moving at near incomprehensible speeds, creating a visual spectacle mistaken by observers for Tatsumaki's psychic powers. Meanwhile, deep underground, a mysterious shrine hints at a looming threat, a centipede-like creature. At sea, a massive object emerges from the ocean, capsizing an aircraft carrier and revealing itself as the evil ocean water monster, now fused with the entire ocean. Meanwhile, Garou, Flashy Flash, and Platinum S continue fighting, with Flashy Flash getting defeated and Garou and Platinum S fighting against each other while moving so fast that it creates even denser cluster of light than before, and lastly, Garou kills Platinum S. Then supposedly Blast intervenes, praising Tatsumaki for her determination and begins to offer his power to Tatsumaki. Tatsumaki realizes it's not Blast, and it turns out it was actually God disguised as Blast and disappears. Afterwards, the real Blast arrives, saying that she has grown. Then the centipede barges in. Garou intervenes against the Sage Centipede, who calls himself the incarnation of Father Earth. Garou's lightning fest strikes damaged Sage Centipede, stunning him, and he notices a helicopter carrying Terrio, prompting him to taunt the centipede to buy time. Sage Centipede attacks with its Centipede Grand March and evil water monsters with devastating water cannon, launching Garou through the air and leaving him heavily damaged. Then Saitama casually runs in the ocean and confronts the water monster and in one single punch, kills it. It was so powerful that it divided the ocean in two sides. Saitama observes the aircraft carrier's deck, using it as a surfboard to navigate the tsunami. Metal Bat joins Garou on the centipede's back, and they strategize to protect the helicopter and its passengers. Despite their combined attacks with powerful roaring or sky-ripping strikes, the centipede remains nearly invulnerable. Garou criticizes Metal Bat's of ineffective damage, but the centipede, recognizing Metal Bat as a non-threat, focuses on capturing the helicopter. As the monster seizes the helicopter with its antennas, Garou and Metal Bat are stunned by the severity of the situation. One-shotter, supported by Gear Spear, fires precisely into the centipede's eyes, temporarily distracting it. Garou uses this opportunity to pry open its grip and free the helicopter, continuing his relentless assault. Metal Bat, severely injured, ultimately chops off the centipede's antennas, neutralizing his hostage threat. Garou and Metal Bat prepare to face the monster Sage Centipede. Sage Centipede dismisses their teamwork as pathetic and charges with a massive drill-like attack. Garou and Metal Bat respond with their strongest techniques. Garou unleashes Crossfang Dragon Slayer, and Metal Bat uses his pumped-up Sea Hurricane. Their attacks accidentally combine, damaging the centipede's tough exterior. Garou, boosted by Metal Bat's resonance, manages to blast through the monster and steal its regeneration core, halting its healing. The centipede tries to retrieve its core, but Garou launches it into the sky. Metal Bat, exhausted, lies on the ground, trusting Garou to finish the fight. Meanwhile, Sweet Mask survives being ripped in half by Fear Ugly. He encounters Pig God, who is severely shrunken, and insists on taking him to safety. Pig God first eats a corpse to regain energy before leaving. Sage Centipede, chasing its core in the upper atmosphere, extends its full length from Earth to space. Garou leaves along its back, destroys the core with a karate chop, and then chops the centipede in half vertically, ending the monster threat. On the battlefield, Sweet Mask carries an unconscious Metal Bat and sees the centipede's corpse. Misunderstanding a movement from Monaku as an attack, he almost strikes him, but an aircraft carrier crashes between them, scattering everyone. King, still carrying an injured Tatsumaki, panics as the carrier falls. Fubuki arrives with a new Blizzard group. Fubuki uses her psychic power to assist, and Tank Top Master amplifies it with his strength. Pig God saves several heroes by carrying them in his mouth through rising waters. Garou watches the chaos, unaware of what happened to the evil water monster. Saitama appears behind Garou and asks him who he is. Garou claims he's a monster who will bring humanity into despair and become absolute evil. Saitama, confused by Garou's earlier help to save the helicopter, listens as Garou boasts about spreading fear and showing his strength. He declares he will destroy both the monster and hero associations. Saitama leaves irritated at the destruction and noise. Garou charges at him but is effortlessly knocked back. Garou finally realizes who Saitama truly is, the unbeatable Bald King. Their battle begins in earnest.
They exchange blows across kilometers, reaching the upper atmosphere. Garou attempts head strikes and hand chops, causing massive destruction, but Saitama retaliates with a simple headbutt, breaking Garou's forearm. Garou regenerates and tries to punch again, but Saitama is faster, sending him flying.
Anger mutates Garou, increasing his size and strength. Tareo, the young hero fan, appears behind the bulked-up demonic Garou, calling him a hero despite Garou insisting he is not. Garou grows frustrated, but Tareo's insistence annoys him further. Saitama approaches, commenting on the terrible things Garou has done, killing heroes, destroying dojos, and becoming a monster. Tareo tries to stop Garou from fighting, but Garou punches him hard. As always, Saitama is completely unscathed and reassures Tareo that Garou cannot hurt him.
Garou is effortlessly deflected. Saitama casually lumps Garou's absolute evil with world peace, which infuriates Garou, causing him to charge at Saitama. He parries a punch, lands a hand chop to Saitama's face, a punch to the head, and an elbow to the stomach, all in a split second. Saitama, digging underground, throws a massive rock at Garou, testing his martial arts reflexes. Garou shatters it with his rotating arms, then launches a barrage of attacks, claiming Saitama's lack of technique makes him an amateur. Garou unleashes his Godslayer ascending attack, destroying buildings and demonstrating unimaginable power. Despite the chaos, Saitama emerges unharmed. Ironically, Garou's destructive rampage saves several trapped Hero Association staff members who thank him, highlighting the unintended heroism in his absolute evil. Enraged, Garou evolves further into a demonic form with enormous wings and increased power. He strikes Saitama with an open palm attack, shattering a volcano behind them, yet Saitama remains completely unharmed. Garou's attacks even save a city from lava flows, further emphasizing his unintentional heroism. Garou continues fighting, growing visibly desperate as Saitama dodges and counters every move effortlessly. Garou channels energy through all four of his arms, creating devastating attacks like Extreme Piran, causing seismic waves through the planet. Despite this, Saitama remains unscathed, retaliating with his consecutive normal punches. Garou, enraged, attacks Saitama again, but Saitama shatters Garou's entire monster armor with a single punch. Then multiple UFO-like clouds appear with massive feet coming out from them, and it's obviously God. And misguised as Bang, he asks Garou to come to him and grants him cosmic-level power. Garou achieves Cosmic Fear mode, wielding energy flows of the universe to assault Saitama with cataclysmic force, but Saitama remains the unmovable anchor of power. Even as Garou's ultimate destructive techniques threaten the planet, Saitama counters with ease. Both throw normal consecutive punches at each other, with one punch of Garou landing and sends Saitama flying, as when he comes back, Garou, now in his full Cosmic Fear mode, unleashes Life Eradication Fistmark Gamma Reburst, producing nuclear-level explosions that engulf Saitama and the surrounding area. The planet itself trembles under the attack. It sends Saitama flying, while Garou stands amidst the devastation, confronting the remaining heroes. Garou declares his intent to achieve absolute evil, thanking Bang internally for his guidance and revealing that he's acting entirely of his own free will, not as a puppet of any external entity. The remaining heroes brace for his next move, as Garou's presence threatens to overwhelm all of humanity. Child Emperor and Wagama collapse from radiation exposure, showing the deadly magnitude of Garou's unleashed power. Despite Garou insisting he's in control of his actions, Bang senses a lingering evil within him. Suddenly, Blast, the #1 S-Class hero, teleports into the battlefield, surprising Garou. Blast warns that Garou's current form endangers all life on Earth and offers to transport him to another dimension. Garou arrogantly declines, boasting that his mere presence is already killing people. Genos attacks, headbutting Garou with the last of his torso form strength, but Garou easily counters. Blast summons portals to repeatedly punch Garou with gravity knuckles, attempting to trap him in another dimension. Garou mimics Blast's powers while wielding Gravity Knuckle in one hand and Life Eradication Fistmark Nuclear Fission in the other, creating a furious barrage of attacks. Blast summons multiple portals and teleportation rings to redirect Garou's strikes, preventing further planetary destruction. The collision of energy forces send Garou and Blast hurtling apart, with Blast realizing that if the fight continues, it could destroy the planet and weaken the gates that restrain God. Garou admires Blast's strength, but shifts focus back to Saitama, intending to kill Genos to draw out the full extent of Saitama's power. Garou impales Genos and rips out his core, taunting Saitama with it. Saitama, enraged, unleashes his first serious punch, met by Garou's mirrored punch using Mode Saitama. Blast intervenes to contain the fallout, teleporting the collision into the upper atmosphere. The kinetic energy threatens to obliterate everything, and the battle escalates into space-level destruction, with shockwaves obliterating star systems. Garou and Saitama crash into Jupiter's moon. Saitama stands above Garou, ready to go all out with one hand, while Garou proposes returning to Earth. Saitama refuses, insisting the battle continue there. Garou initiates by summoning portals to attack, but Saitama effortlessly counters, flipping his portals and punishing him with overwhelming force. The two clash in cosmic-scale combat, moving across the moon, exchanging devastating attacks. Garou uses advanced martial art techniques and his water-stream rock-smashing fists combined with nuclear fission gravity knuckles, creating atomic-scale explosions. Saitama counters effortlessly with Serious Table Flip and omnidirectional Serious Punch, destroying the moon's crust and creating hundreds of after-images to overwhelm Garou. Garou realizes that Saitama's power continuously grows exponentially, leaving him struggling to keep up. At one point, a cold Saitama sneezes due to the vacuum of space, clearing an enormous portion of Jupiter's atmosphere and debris, forcing Garou to retreat back to Earth via portal, only to find Saitama already behind him, having used the cold to his advantage, as he farted and it sent him flying towards Garou at a tremendous speed. The fight resumes as Saitama punches Garou in the face, rocketing both of them back down toward Earth's surface, continuing the cosmic-level battle between humanity's strongest hero and the unstoppable force of Garou in his awakened forms. Garou, now reverted to his battered human form after Saitama's final Zero Punch, realizes the weight of his failures. He then sees Tereo's dead body, which broke his heart and started to run towards him crying, and then he tripped and fell. Seeing Tereo's death caused by his actions, he despairs, acknowledging he can never become true absolute evil. Saitama explains he spared Garou because he's a hero and also honoring Tereo's final request. Garou solemnly asks Saitama to inherit his ultimate martial art techniques, knowing only Saitama could use them fully. As Garou transfers his cosmic power, a godlike entity attempts to siphon it, breaking Garou's body down into salt. His final words emphasize that only Saitama can face the ominous future. Saitama, having technically gained the ability to reverse time through the insane training and energy from their battle, delivers a Zero Punch, striking Garou before he can act, securing his defeat. Saitama then merges with his past self and forgetting that has happened and is shocked to see Genos' core in his hands. Then Genos barges in and takes the core and gets all the memories contained in that core. Genos verifies that Garou's power core and the events surrounding it may originate from an alternate timeline, confirming the existence of parallel worlds. Afterwards, Garou is weakened and surrounded by heroes. There is debate over his fate, with some advocating execution. Tereo intervenes, emphasizing that Garou saved people multiple times, preventing his execution. Saitama acknowledges Garou's inadvertent heroism, expressing gratitude for his actions in saving Genos and King from previous threats. Drive Knight arrives to repair the battlefield with thousands of drones, decontaminating the area after Garou's radiation attack. Later, Garou is questioned at a police station about his dine and dash incident, comically being redirected by Bang. Bang advises Garou to apologize to the victims of his hero hunt. In the aftermath, Garou expresses a desire to spar with the heroes he once fought as a monster, hoping to awaken new potential without succumbing to his monstrous side. Bang resigns from the Hero Association, but mentors Garou, including lighthearted discussions about his personal preferences. Meanwhile, Saitama and Genos search for the remains of their destroyed apartment, closing the Monster Association arc with peace restored, Garou redeemed in spirit, and the heroes continuing their duties in a world forever changed by the events. And that's the aftermath of the Monster Association arc. How our heroes recovered, what Garou went through, and how the dust finally settled. If you want a deep dive into Garou's powers, transformations, and full progression, check out my other video where I break everything down in detail. See you there.